guys, Dorothy here today, and we're going to begin our tutorial for our altered file folder using the kit Suddenly Autumn from Studio 28E from Sherry. I will put a link to the kit in the description, as well as measurements and things like that. So today, basically, what we're going to need is we're going to be setting the basic file folder up. So this will be the first step. It's the easy part today. And we'll need distress ink and your ink blending tool if you're going to use that, a file folder, a scoring board, a scoring tool, a pair of scissors, and some adhesive, and a bone folder if you have one. So let's get started. File folders, so let's talk about this. There's file folders that come with side tabs. If you have a side tab, they're easy to use. They just go on the side. People sort of wonder probably maybe what file folder to use, because you have one with a right tab, one with a left tab, one with a center tab. The center tab is one you don't really want to use. If you're going to use a center tab, I suggest cutting the center tab off and then adhering it to the sides. You have a side tab. Just because it's right in the fold and it's sort of weird. I don't like the way that it does. That's my personal preference anyway. So the right tab, because when we finally get finished, when we get done, just like in our sample, you'll see the tab is to the right, so it puts the tab in the back. In the same regard, if our tab was on the left, which would be like this, your tab is going to be in the front. I don't really like the tab in the front. I like my tab towards the back. And again, that's personal preference. So, you know, to each his own on that. You can decide that. So, we're going to get started. Let me make sure it's in there. So, you're going to take your file folder. I always sort of put mine up so the flat edge is against the top of my scoring board because it's just simpler to me. You'll have to push down sort of hard. When you're scoring, I always use the bigger end of my scoring tool if you have a double-ended one, because I just don't like the way the small one creases. So we're going to score our spine part. So on our spine, we have a 1/4 inch spine on our folder. So we're going to find our center, which would be at 5 6/8. So we're going to score at 5 5/8 and 5 7/8. So let's see, 5 5/8, and you have to push sort of hard because you're going through 2 layers. And I always go over twice. Then you're going to skip one, and then you're going to do 5 7/8, which is going to create our 1/4 inch spine. And again, sort of put some elbow grease in it and make sure you get through both layers. Okay, so we have our fold there, and you can see where our spine is going to be. So let me get this out of the way right now. Okay, so we're going to ink. I'm actually using Ranger Distress Oxide Vintage Photo, which I think a lot of people have, and an ink blending tool. And you're going to ink all of the outer edges. So, and people ink differently. I don't like a really dark edge on mine, so I just sort of go around the outside edge, and everybody does this differently, so I sort of like mine to have more of a rough look to it, so I'll just and some people like laying theirs down and doing it. You know, I find with me, I like sort of holding it and doing it because I like it to have a darker edge towards the outside edge and get lighter as we go. And that's just, again, my personal preference. So we will be using the Suddenly Autumn kit. from, like I said, Studio 28E. And the Sudden Autumn kit is very, obviously it's autumny. There's a lot of reds and like fall colors, greens and reds. It's a really pretty kit. A lot of harvesty, apple picking type folders. I know my first one that I did, the sample one that I did, I have, the little girl picking apples on the front, and I love that design. Although there are some very, very pretty ones that are harvesty. So I may actually end up doing an altered version of it, because obviously there's so many different ways that you can do altered file folders. So I may actually do a different version using just the harvest ones, because they're really pretty. And they would be perfect to take and give as a gift for like Thanksgiving or so. So I'm just going to do around the outside edges. Then on the inside, because we're actually going to be adhering and gluing it, so I do on the inside the top edge. Every part that shows, I sort of do, because I like it to be darker. I don't want it so bright. And I mean, I don't do it like extremely dark. I just sort of tone it up a bit, so it's just a hair darker than what it would be. And we won't be done inking. We'll have to go back and ink once we... because I like my tab to be a little bit darker, to sort of stand out a little bit, so... So just like that, just so it sort of darkens it up and gives it sort of a secondary thing. So now we're going to take our score lines and we're going to fold, and I always make sure that even before I fold that my end lines are lined up, because I don't want my folder to be crooked, and lining it up at the bottom sort of guarantees you're not as crooked. So, and you're going to fold on both of those score lines, and you're going through two, it's a 2 card thickness, so it's sort of not as easy to do. And again, I'll make sure that lines up as I lay it flat. And I know this is all basic, and most of you guys know this, but there are new people who may not know, or you may go, well, am I the only person that has trouble doing that, or the only person who doesn't quite do that way? So that's just the way I do it. And if things don't line up exact, like on my edge where it's sticks out, sometimes that's just the way things work, and we'll fix that up in the end anyway. And it's junk journaling, it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so then you're gonna want to take your ink and I go around the bottom when I come back for to do that. It's just weird, because I like to get that corner really good, and I don't think I get it as good when I just go around the outside edges where it's laid flat. So now I have it, I just like to hit the edges and sort of give it some wear and tear, make it have that vintage rustic sort of look. And then I do all the way down the spine, because that's just my thing that I do. And then I actually open up towards the inside, so sort of fold the other way, and I get the inside bottom here now, And I actually do the inside spine the same exact way as I do the outside. I know people have blending tools of different kinds. I have the rectangular blending tool. I've got the circular one. I've got some of these. And I've got some of these. So I got a bunch of people use different ones for different things, and I might do a video about that, especially like, you know, for the newer people, because you know, you wonder which one, you know, well, I don't know which one to get, or, you know, and, you know, some of it has to do with cost effectiveness, and some of it, you know, some of them do different things, so, okay. So, we may do a video about that. So, okay, so we gotta flip back around because remember we folded it, so we have the outside. And you want to make sure when you get into doing that, because I've done it, you know, you have it bent this way where you finally did the inside and you start working it, and then when you get done you realize that your tab's on the outside. If you want it that way, it's, you know, it's not a game changer, but that's just how I like, because like this one is in the back, so I mean I could do this one in the front, it would be a different view, but in the back. So now you need to grab your adhesive, and you can use different kinds of adhesive. You can use obviously score tape, double-sided tape, grabber tack, art glitter glue, whatever. I just use this because it dries fast and it's easy, so we're gonna use score tape. And you want to make sure that like when you tape, that you tape on your short end, or you'll have tape stuck out farther than where your paper goes. So, and this is score tape. I actually bought this from the Score Pal company, and you can buy all kinds of double-sided adhesives, and obviously there's a ton of those out. And you want to tape on each side and in the center. And it doesn't have to be exact. Again, you just sort of lay it along the edge. And then burnish it and make sure it's stuck down really good. Because obviously you don't want to do it, because if you don't make sure it's down really good and it comes apart, then let me get my little pucky tool. Then I'm going to come through, take the backing off. And one thing I did notice, and I've used different double-sided adhesives, you know, from a Hobby Lobby version to the red tape to whatever. I like the score tape because I find the backing is a lot easier to deal with. And then you're just going to lay it down, sort of make sure your center score marks are lined up, your outside edges are lined up. And they don't have to be exact, but then I just sort of burnished over where that tape, I know that tape is, so it, you know, it gives it some extra heft to hold. Okay, so that is how we're going to do our first pocket. Now, the next video, we will go through and sort of pick, you know, what we want for a cover, you know, what pictures do you want for your cover, what do you want for your inside, your outside, and we'll lay the base ones down, because then we have pockets that we will put over top of them. But we want to make sure we put the base on first before we add the pockets on top. That way we're not trying to stick in between pockets. So this is what we'll do for today. Again, tomorrow we will need our kit. I'm going to go ahead and cut all of mine out, all of my pieces out of my kit, and ink the edges, all that sort of jazz. I'm going to all of my pages like this, because I know I'm working with, you know, my file folder, and I know my file folder's, you know, roughly 5.5 by 9. Yeah, so give or take, you know, because some of them are smaller inside. So I know, you know, at 5.5, I'm going to have to split these pages in half. So I'm going to go ahead, as when I cut my full-size pages, I'm going to, you know, cut it in half, and then I'm going to ink it. So we will come back tomorrow with our pages cut and inked and ready to go. We'll lay the base pages onto our outer covers, and we will start applying our pockets tomorrow. So I will see you tomorrow back with all our pages cut and inked. Happy crafting. Have a great day. And we'll be back tomorrow for the second installment of our video. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.